Have you ever been in a place in your life where you've just had a season of being down and out? And maybe it was a season in life, maybe it was a season in business, but things just were not going the right way for you. Today's conversation is really going to help you. I want to lay out for you the 8 steps to getting back on your feet and to be successful in 2025. Now, more than, I would say, a quarter of my life, I lived on the struggle bus. If you don't know my story, that I grew up on welfare. You know, it's funny. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I listen to a lot of podcasts. And what I don't really see is people talking about how challenging it is to actually grow up on welfare, like what that does to you psychologically, how you start second guessing yourself, especially if you have a circle of friends that have much and you don't, what that starts to do to your own internal belief system. But all of that stuff weighed on me heavier than I actually knew that it did until I started to get older. And then what I realized with being on welfare for 20 years was that I had a whole bunch of days to where I just struggled, a whole bunch of days where I had just self-doubt. I had a belief system that wasn't in line with the goals that I actually wanted. Even I think subconsciously or unconsciously, I almost had a bias towards myself. But I think it was really easy for me to get to a place where I just felt like that it was not going to get better than this. And as I speak with entrepreneurs, when I speak with people like you, when I speak with people who may have had success before, but because they've been in a season of struggle, they've literally forgotten who they are. And if that's you today, then this message is specifically for you. When I wrote my book, The 12 Shifts, I wrote chapter 1. And it's so funny about that book because like the first 4 chapters came to me in one night. In one night, I was just laying in my bed in Long Beach, California, and the first house that we had ever purchased for ourselves. And I just remember it was almost like God just downloaded all these words in me and flowed through me. And I was just pecking on the keyboard and I was just going. And my wife was to my right hand side and my fingers were just going. The introduction, boom, done. Chapter 1, done. Chapter 2, done. Chapter 3, done. Boom, just like that. And I remember in chapter 1, I really, I wrote about this story that had always impacted me. And it was a story of the Golden Buddha. And in this story, what happened was the Thai monks, these Burmese, these Thai monks from centuries ago, they had this Golden Buddha, which was their most precious shrine at the time. This was the thing that sort of identified them, identified their culture, identified their belief system. They brought their kids growing up, going to this statue in this temple. This was just a part of them. Well, they realized they were about to get invaded by a Burmese army. And what they did was they didn't want the Burmese army to take away their most precious relic. So what they did was they packed on a whole bunch of dirt and muck and mire and clay all on top of this Golden Buddha, so that the Burmese army wouldn't find it and wouldn't take it away. Makes sense, right? Like if you have something that's really important, you don't want something to take it. So what do? Sometimes you try to hide it. So years later, centuries later, actually, I believe in the 1920s, a group of explorers went into this old ancient civilization and they found this huge statue that was covered in dirt. They didn't know that there was gold underneath until they started to move it. And when they started to move it, they had to bring in big cranes because it was so heavy. And as the cranes were trying to move it, they saw a little glimmer of gold in this statue that was caked on with dirt. And so they got a hammer and they got a chisel and they just started chipping away at this thing, chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. And after hours of chipping away at this thing that they didn't think was very important at all, that they didn't think actually brought value to the world, that they didn't see the light in this thing, they all of a sudden start to realize that it was made of solid gold. And why that story always stuck with me is because it reminded me that when I'm in those seasons, when I grew up on welfare, when my wife was about to leave me, when my businesses start to fail, that I am also made of the solid gold. Now, here's the thing. It's so easy to just forget. Just like the Thai monks forgot that golden, precious Buddha was actually that. They now started to take on a belief system that it was caked in mud. And you might be there in this season as well. But I'm going to give you the 8 unlocks that you can start to implement literally today that I've done for myself to help us build $1 million businesses and $1 million portfolios. So, step 1, how do we start to make 2025 the most successful year that we've ever had? First, I want to introduce you to what I call inspiration or desperation that's going to lead to a decision, that's going to lead to intense passion, that then is going to flow into burning desire. What I have realized in my own life, whether I'm trying to get healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, while I'm either trying to build wealth, while I'm trying to build my family, is I usually don't take it to the level that it needs to go to until I get greatly inspired or I get greatly desperate, right? Like even when I went on a health journey years ago, I didn't really move into a place where I was willing to do the things to do because I would submit to you that you kind of know what to do. Like if I asked you right now, what are the 3 things you need to stop doing in this moment so that you can elevate to where you want to go? I bet you'd be able to tell me. And if I ask you, what is 4 things that you can do every single day that's going to move you closer to the goals that you want to get to? I almost guarantee you'd be able to tell me what those things are. Here's what I would submit to you, that you have not been willing to do it. And I would submit that you haven't been willing to do it because you haven't gotten enough desperation, or you haven't put yourself in an environment to where you've been inspired enough that has moved you to a concrete decision that is going to get you to a place to where you have burning desire. Now, here is the key. Once you have burning desire, nothing is going to stop you. It's just not going to happen. So the key is how can you put yourself in a position to where you're either desperate enough, hopefully you don't get to that position, like hopefully you don't wait long enough to where things are severe enough to where you get desperate enough, but hopefully you can move yourself into a state of inspiration. Can you put yourself around the right people? Can you put yourself around the right environment? Can you put yourself around the right systems? Because once you do that, then we can move to burning desire. Number two is simple. Number 2 has been something that's absolutely fundamentally changed my life. It is the thing that I invest probably the most in, and that is mentors. I will tell you, every single time I've been in a position to where things look darker, they felt heavy, like things just were not working out to the point that I actually wanted them to. The way I was able to break out of that is I found somebody that was at a place to where I wanted to be, and I allowed them to start breathing life into me and to start mentoring me and coaching me. I can think back to even when I was ready to move to a place where I now wanted to obtain a football scholarship. I can think back to the place and now I wanted to start to build wealth. or I wanted to start to build my very first successful business, or I wanted to start investing into real estate, or I wanted to start investing into private equity, or we just made a decision to invest into venture capitalist fund. All of those decisions has happened because I have made myself available to be mentored and to be coached. Now, here's the thing about mentorship is oftentimes we make a mistake when we are looking for mentors because we want something from them. Let me help you out. Bring something to the relationship. When you are looking for a mentor, then I encourage you that when you go to them, ask them, how can I serve you? Don't just ask for free mentorship. Even if you're paying for this mentorship, I'm telling you, if you want to get ahead, then figure out a way to serve that person. I have a mentor right now that's really helping me in the social media game. I built a $30-40 million a year company, and I never had to really use social media like that. Now that we're putting out this material that's allowing us to connect with you, now I guess we got to be online, right? Like, I guess that's the game that we play. I have a mentor right now. His name's Omar El Takori. Omar, shout out to Omar. Omar is probably about 10, 11 years younger than me. And last week, you know what I did? I picked up the phone, I sent him a voice text, and I just gave him a whole bunch of encouragement. Now, I'm investing into his mentorship, right? Like this young guy, this brilliant young guy is my mentor. I'm 43, almost 44. I believe he's 32. But I picked up my phone, and what did I do? I'm constantly thinking about how can I be a blessing to him? How can I bring value to him? And so when I sent him a voice text and I said, bro, you are leading thousands of people. You're inspiring thousands of people. I'm one of them. I just want to shoot you some encouragement today. What do you think that does for him? So when you're thinking about how can I serve you instead of how can I take, that immediately is going to start to change your world and help you lift up out of that dark space, help you move toward success. And I'm telling you, you're going to be that person's favorite mentee, and they are going to go the extra mile for you to make sure that you are successful. Now, here's the thing with mentorship. Sometimes we want more of a friend than we want a mentor, because a true mentor is going to be more concerned about your success than they are going to be about your feelings. So if you're looking for someone that's going to talk to you all sweet, that's going to coddle you, that's going to cuddle you, and not going to tell you the things that you need to hear, then you're looking for a friend. You're not looking for someone to help you have a breakthrough. Let's move to number 3. Step number 3 on how you're going to be the most successful in 2025 is to find a system, a business model that you can learn to perfect. Take what I'm doing now. I built an organization with 4,000 people in it that's servicing over 300,000 people. You would think that's pretty good, right? Now I've moved into a new business model. And what I have been doing for the last year is starting to understand, starting to learn, starting to perfect this business model. Here's the dope thing about it is once you find a model, once you find a system, then all you have to do is just learn the game. Like, listen to what I'm saying right now. All you have to do is just learn the game. And guess what's going to allow you to learn the game? What's going to allow you to learn that game is your passion and your desperation to spend more time at the thing than other people are willing to spend at the thing. So last night, for example, I'm up at 2:30 in the morning studying ads online. I will submit to you, and I promise you, never in my life have I been up at 2:30 studying ads. Why would I ever do that? I never need to know how to do that. But now that I found a new model, I need to build new skills. And that's the same thing that I'm suggesting to you. All you have to do is just find a new thing. That's it. And it doesn't even matter what the thing is. As long as you can scale the thing, as long as you can get good at the thing, as long as you can build skills at the thing, then you can do the thing. All you have to do is outwork and out hustle and out figure it out than the person to your left and your right. That's it. Now, here's a great thing about your skill set. You don't have to be good. All you have to do is be willing to practice more than someone else. You guys, I have made so many mistakes over the course of my life, but I've made so many mistakes in the last year itself. I got all this camera equipment. I got all these big lights. I never had to have this stuff before. Even in my Instagram, I've had to learn hooks. I've had to learn editing. I've had to learn photography. I've had to learn videography. If you would have asked me a year ago if I needed to know any of this stuff, I would have said, why? What for? Why would I buy $1,000 of equipment where I could just keep doing what I've been doing? So here's the great thing about it. You just got to find a new system. It doesn't matter what it is. As long as you can scale it and your skills line up with it, and you can build skills by practicing. Step number 4, you have to learn how to think. One of the greatest things that's going to help you be successful in 2025 is your ability to just think. I was reading something from, I think it was John Paul Getty, and he said something like, people would rather die than they would rather think. And when I read that, I was like, I think I agree with you. And when I'm talking about thinking, I'm not talking about just thinking like subconsciously. What I'm talking about is your ability to think about the things that you think about. I do this thing when I go speak with anyone. I could be speaking with elementary kids, high school kids. On Sunday, I'm going to go speak with a group of women, very well-to-do women. But I always do this thing to where I'll take some money, $5, $10, $20, $100. And I'll always say, I'll stand up and I'll hold up the $100 or whatnot. And I'll say, who wants some money? And it doesn't matter what the audience is. Everybody will raise their hand and they'll say, me, 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 me. And I'll say, well, who wants some money? And everybody will go crazy. It doesn't even matter what the age is. They'll all, me, 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 me. Not all of them, because some of them are skeptical. They just don't believe. They think that I'm playing a joke on them, a game. But the most part, people are saying me, 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 me. Now, here's what's interesting. Rarely does somebody just get up and come take the money. So the question is, well, why don't they? Why don't they? They want it. Why don't they take the money? I will tell you why. Because they've been conditioned and indoctrinated to not take it. Years and years and years and years and years of saying, raise your hand and sit down in the seat. And there's a proper way that if you want to have the thing, then you need to wait and be called on. And because that's been a conditioning that they got, it doesn't even matter if they're 50 years old, then that unconscious sort of stories is still running through their minds. So I always ask, well, why don't you just think? You're 50 years old now. If you want the $100, go get it. You're not in the 5th grade anymore. You're not in the 6th grade. You can make up your own rules. Have you realized this? Have you realized that you can just create it? You could just think of it, and then it's done. You can just think, I don't have to sit here in this chair anymore. I can actually get up and I could actually go do the thing. But oftentimes we don't. So I started to learn a tool that I want to share with you to make this the best year of your life. And this tool is called Stop, Challenge, and Choose. So I want you to start analyzing your thoughts. And these thoughts need to be in alignment with what you want to create. What is the thing that you want? Happiness, fulfillment. You want to start a new business. You want more wealth. You want more money. You want to raise. It doesn't matter what the thing is. We need to start to learn how to think. So with Stop, Challenge, and Choose, now what happens is a thought runs through your mind. I want you to stop that thought. I want you to analyze it. That's cool. Is that true? And then I want you to challenge it. Is that even true? Do I need to sit here on this chair and wait for a teacher or an adult to call on me to go get Jamil's $100? Is it even true that because I'm Black and I grew up on welfare, I'll never be a millionaire? Is it even true that I can't start that business from scratch? Is it even true that I can't have the time freedom that I want? So now we're starting to challenge it. And then I want you to choose. Choose what? Choose the thought that's actually going to serve you in your future. Hey, is that true? I don't think so. I don't think that that's true. So what is true? What's true is I can create whatever it is that I want. And now what you're learning to do is you're now learning to actually think and to think for yourself. You can create whatever it is that you want, but you have to break through those limiting beliefs. In fact, I'm asking you to break up so that we can have a breakthrough. I am begging you that let's elevate those thoughts so that we can separate from this current reality. But it is not going to happen until you start to learn how to control this. Let's go to step 5. Step 5 is learn how to make money and learn how to manage money. Now, here's the thing. Making money, managing money, and building wealth are completely different skill sets. I did not know this until about 9 years ago. I just always thought, man, if I make a lot of money, I'm balling out. I'm going to be good. I'm rich. And what I started learning is making money is different than managing the money, which is wholly different than elevating that money. So I submit to you right now that you're probably making money. Most of us are. But you're probably not managing that money very well. And we're probably not elevating that money. What do I mean? We're making money, yes, but we're not managing it well because there's nothing that's left over. Or there's very few that's left over right now. And because there's nothing that's left over, we can't elevate it, meaning what? We can't invest it. We can't have your money work harder for you than you start to work for it. I call it echo income. If you have not read my book, The Richest Man in Direct Sales, I encourage you to read it. When I wrote that book, I was looking for passivity. How can I build up enough assets so that the assets start to cover my monthly expenses, which means I'm wealthy and never have to work again if I didn't want to. Now, all of us make money. Most of us are not good with managing the money. I don't know you, but statistics tell me that you're probably not great with managing the money either. And very few of us are skilled at growing the money. So what we do is just use a very, very simple formula, which is, what do you do with $1? We have to start doing the right things with the dollar. So let me give you a simple formula on what to do with $1. Here's the deal. Whenever you get $1, you're going to save 10% of it. You're going to invest 10% of it. You're going to give 10% of it, which means we cannot spend more than 70 cents of that dollar. And it doesn't matter if it's $1 or $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000 or $1,000,000, we keep the same formula. Does this make sense? This is how we're going to start to explode in 2025. Step number 6, learn to invest money. Building wealth equals patience. Write that down. Building wealth equals patience. Now, you cannot get to the top of the rainbow today, but you can start the journey. So today is the day where we start to change the way that we do things. We start to change our expectations. Here's the expectation. How can I have enough money invested that it matches what I'm making in my annual income? And that is going to take patience. It's going to take extreme patience. But we don't need to win the game today. We just need to start the first quarter, the first play, right? The first 10 seconds. So that's where you start. Step number 7, learn to teach other people what you do. Here's a crazy thing. You are going to be so stinking successful once you figure out the thing and you start to perfect the thing. Here's what I submit to you. You don't even have to do the thing anymore. You want to know what's going to pay you way more? Oh my gosh, I hope you're listening to me. Learning to teach other people how to do the thing you just did. That's going to pay you way more than you doing the thing. And I don't care what the industry is. You could be a doctor right now. I encourage you, stop operating on people. Teach other people how to operate on people. You could be a lawyer right now. I encourage you, stop practicing law. Teach other people how to practice law. You could be an online marketer. I encourage you, stop being an online marketer. Figure out how to teach other people how to be an online marketer. And this is what I promise you, you will make way more money. Way more money by doing less. I know it sounds crazy, but it is true. Even when I started my last organization, I had hundreds of clients, health clients. And then I was like, wow, this is taking up a ton of my time. Why don't I just go find other entrepreneurs that want to know how to build these businesses and have them take care of the clients? And that one shift took my income from $10,000 a month to over $100,000 a month. Just that one shift. So you can do the same thing. Number 8, we are landing this plane for you. The 8 steps to being ultra successful in 2025. Number 8 is continue to reinvent and reinvest in yourself. One thing that I know from mentoring and coaching and just being with thousands of people over the last decade is, one, it is very hard for us. Let me put it like this. There's something called identity, and it's very, very hard to break out of. I remember when I was introduced to a chiropractor years ago in Long Beach, California. Amazing, amazing woman. I love her to death. Friend to this day. She wanted to make more money. She wanted more revenue. And I told her, well, we could easily implement a health business into your practice. And it was one of the hardest things for her to do. You want to know why? Because she had a conflict in identity. She was a chiropractor. That's who she was. And because the world knew her as a chiropractor, she knew herself as a chiropractor, she spent thousands of dollars to become a chiropractor, then that's what she was. But it was self-proclaimed. At any time, she could reinvent herself by reinvesting in herself. And I'm telling you, you could do the same thing. And a lot of times we don't do it because we have an identity crisis. I am, you fill in the blank. I've been, you fill in the blank. The world knows me as, you fill in the blank. Once I learned to start reinventing myself, I built up so many skill sets that it is impossible not to make money. Let me share with you just a few things that I've gone into the years wanting to increase my skills. One, by reading so many books on so many different topics. But I distinctly remember going into all these different years and saying I was going to reinvent myself into these things. One was a wedding officiant. One client that I had asked me if I would marry them. I had no sort of licenses. I didn't even have the desire to do it. But they asked me, and I thought, wow, what an opportunity to build a new skill. What an opportunity to build in another income stream. What an opportunity to bless them by marrying them. And I think the first one I did was in Costa Rica. That's not a bad place to go, right? We're going to bring you out to Costa Rica to marry us. All you got to do is just go get the documents and the what did you say that word? Certificates, right? So I distinctly went into that year saying, I'm going to reinvent myself to become a wedding officiant. What about a couple of years ago, I said, you know what? I always envy these guys that are able to raise money for companies. They're just able to raise capital. I never was that guy. With my business, I started my first business with $200. I never needed to raise money. But now that I moved into this world of angel investing and venture capitalism, I'm around all of these people who have the skill of raising money. So I distinctly went into 2023 with the objective to learn how to raise at least $1 million. And guess what? I accomplished it. Those are skill sets. Can you reinvent yourself? How about writing a book? I went into 2019 saying I'm going to build the skills of learning how to write. I don't know how to spell. I can barely write. If you look at my notes right here, right now, you will not be able to read them. They look like scribbles. Why? Because I don't know how to write and I don't know how to spell. But I wanted to go into 2019 and learn, how can I become an author? How can I build those skill sets? And I did it. What about learning a new language? What about editing videos? Over the last 12 months, guess what I have learned? How to edit videos. Am I great at it? No. But I actually know how to do it enough to where when we have Tony, who's sitting right here, who actually knows how to do it. But when I sit down with him, I say, well, why don't we throw these overlays? Why don't we have these different transitions? I had no idea how to do that even 12 months ago. So can you reinvent yourself by reinvesting into yourself? Here's the thing as we close up. Anytime that I said, I learned, or you ought to learn, or you should learn, this is one of the things that should make you the most excited. Because you know what that means, my friend? It only means that you just got to practice more. All that is a decision. It's just a skill. And you can learn any new skill, even if it's a thinking skill, that moves you from a limited belief system to an elevated, abundant belief system. I want to leave you with this. Do not forget the story of the Golden Buddha. Oftentimes in life, you have been, and sometimes you've allowed yourself to be caked on with mud, with dirt, with muck, and with mire. And sometimes it's easy to forget who you are. Allow for these 8 steps to be able to assist you to have the most powerful 2025 and the most powerful year that you've ever had. I hope that this has brought you an encouragement. Go on and subscribe to our channel if it has. And we'll look forward to serving you on the next video.